Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. Today, let's take a look at one of the most vital components in a modern studio, and one that's often overlooked: hard drive storage. For most of us, hard drives are critical. They're the repositories for all the data we use and create. Basically, they hold our art and craft. But there's more to choosing a hard drive than just getting the cheapest one. Here are some things to consider. To begin, there are a number of hard drive specs that we need to consider: type of drive, size, speed, noise, power and portability, and connection format among them. The connection format is easiest to figure out. Choose what matches your computer, but also try to use the fastest connection format you have available. On current computers, this will typically be USB 3 or some flavor of Thunderbolt. A lot of data can move back and forth between your computer and your drives, and you want to ensure that your connection format can handle it. Second, there's the type of drive. There are two main types: mechanical drives, which utilize the tried and true format of writing and reading the data from a rotating disk that's written and read by a floating magnetic head. Mechanical drives can be incredibly fast and offer excellent prices, particularly when you need a large capacity drive. A solid-state drive, on the other hand, has no moving parts, so it can be made very rugged and durable. Solid-state drives work sort of like the memory in your computer, except that the data stays even when the power is turned off. Solid-state drives can offer very fast performance, but on a price per megabyte basis, they can sometimes be more expensive than mechanical drives. Then there's the speed of the drive itself. Most modern drives are fast enough for our audio work, but aiming toward the fastest drive will give you plenty of headroom. Where this becomes essential is if you're playing lots and lots of tracks simultaneously, you're playing large virtual instrument libraries, or you're recording lots of tracks simultaneously. With mechanical drives, I prefer a drive with at least a 7,200 RPM rotation speed. With both mechanical and solid-state drives, you'll want to look for fast transfer speeds. You'll see figures such as 500 megabytes per second, for example, which tells you how fast the drive can transfer data to and from the computer. Another critical consideration is noise. A mechanical drive has a motor that turns a rotating platter. It's a mechanical device, so it's going to make some noise. Depending on how loud that noise is, you might hear it bleeding into microphones if you're recording in the same room with the drive. For this reason, I often prefer to use solid-state drives for the drives I'll be recording to. Power and portability is also a concern. Many mechanical drives require an external AC power supply, though some can be bus-powered via USB or Thunderbolt connections. Many solid-state drives operate off of bus power from the computer. This is a consideration if you'll ever take the drives out of the studio and use them on the go with a laptop. Likewise, the size and weight of a drive can affect how portable it will be. Some drives aren't meant to be portable, so this isn't a concern for them. They're just going to live in the studio. But if you do work outside your studio, for example, I often compose, edit, and even mix in coffee shops, on airplanes, and in hotel rooms, then power and portability are going to be a big deal. Finally, the capacity of the drive is obviously a critical specification, especially if you have lots of large sessions, you need to include video, or you have massive virtual instrument libraries. But when considering drive capacity, I often don't recommend looking for the largest drive possible and then trying to put everything on that single drive. Instead, I prefer to break down different types of data onto different drives. For example, here's how the storage is set up in my studio that we're in right now. I'm running an Apple Mac Mini computer. The internal drive is actually quite small and can't be upgraded, so I limit that to holding just the apps I need and a few small data files. I put as little as I can on that drive. Then I have 3 of these little solid-state drives connected via USB 3. I call these my working drives. Each has a 1 terabyte capacity and can transfer it up to 560 megabytes per second, and they offer a good price to capacity ratio. And I love how small they are. They take up no space in the studio, and they're convenient for remote work on a laptop as well. Here's how I apply my 3-drive system. The first drive holds the audio files and tracks for my sessions. The second drive holds my virtual instrument libraries. This way, I have separate dedicated hard drive storage and bandwidth for audio tracks and for instruments. The third drive holds video files. I have this same 3-drive setup in my home studio, and it's worked flawlessly for me. If you're not doing video, then the third drive might be optional for you, but splitting your libraries and your audio tracks onto separate drives is a great way to work. However you're storing your tracks and your instruments, I actually recommend 2 additional drives. I suggest having a large capacity drive to use for regular, daily backup of your sessions. This is essential to ensure you don't lose data if there's a catastrophic drive crash or a computer problem. For this, I use a mechanical drive with a 4 terabyte or greater capacity, like the G Technology G drives, Glyph Studio drives, or the LaCie D2 professional drives. Speed isn't a real concern here. We're not after real-time performance. What we're after is lots of secure storage for backup. And I call this my backup drive. I only turn it on when I'm actually backing up files, so I don't care about the noise in the room. The other type of additional drive I highly recommend is a RAID drive for long-term storage, backup, and archiving. A RAID, which stands for Redundant Array of Inexpensive Disks, contains multiple disks inside a single chassis. When data is written to the RAID, it's written to multiple disks simultaneously using one of several schemes, so it's internally automatically backed up and protected. Even if one of the internal disks fails, you can still recover the data off of the other remaining disks. It's a very secure storage format. I move my projects over to the RAID drive when I've got them finished and no longer need them on my working drives. This lets me keep the space clear on my working drives for current, in-progress projects. When you choose a RAID, capacity is the key consideration. You want plenty of room to store all your projects and data so you have an archive that fits everything you've worked on. So there you have it, an overview of what to consider when you're looking at drives for your studio, as well as my personal scheme for working, backup, and archive drives. If you have questions about drives for your studio, contact your Sweetwater sales engineer or visit sweetwater.com. We'll be happy to help out. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Click here for more videos like this, or start at sweetwater.com for all your music instrument and pro audio needs.